And Proc, what I mean, 2 spells at the Boro. Who would you pick out as, like, if I was to put you on a spot and say name the 3 best players that you were teammates of yours in your spells at the Boro? Who would you go for in your playing days that you played alongside?
Well, in the first spell in 78 to 81, Craig Johnson was a bit special. Good player, went to Liverpool, won lots of things. Hodgie was coming through with me, you know, prolific striker at the time. David Armstrong played about 250 consecutive games for the club. Might have been more, was it? Dave, you probably know the stuff.
I think it was 350.
Was it? Right, there you go, which is incredible, really. So that was a really exceptional team, I thought.
What made Johnston special? Why do you think he was so good? Because I mean, I loved him. I was only a kid at that time, Proc, because you're older than me.
Yeah, Craig was all action, wasn't he? He was ahead of his time. He wasn't the most naturally gifted player, Craig, but he used to work at his game. So we'd all train till 5 o'clock or whatever it is, get the jobs done, and then we'd be in the car park kicking the ball about till maybe 8 o'clock at night, getting the last bus home at 9 o'clock, and then coming in the next day. And them years for me give me the best grounding. So we used to play down the side of the Aldgate end. So there used to be like 2 turnstile doors, which are about 4 foot wide. There's a little curved wall about 3 foot high, concrete, and we were playing on like ash, like a black ash. And we used to play 2v2, 3v3, Hodgie, me, Craig, Billy Askew, lots of young players.
And this is after everyone else has gone home. The gaffer's gone home.
Everyone's gone home. No coaches, no supervision, and it was full on. It was absolutely, it was really, really mega competitive. And I think that's what brought us all through. I got involved in that, and I thought, well, I like a bit of this. And Craig was mega competitive as Hodgie was, and we used to smash into each other. It was honest, there was no holds barred, and it was the best grounding for a young player, unsupervised. I think we might have got 1 or 2 injuries, to be fair, because they got so hectic at times. But it was brilliant, Dave. And so Craig was a innovative sort of in his sort of regime as a young player. He, as I say, he brought all that longer practice, which he needed to do. And then he went on, obviously, then to go to Liverpool, and he went into the great Liverpool side of Dalglish and Souness and all the big wigs, and having to compete with for a place in that team, and played pretty regularly. So he's got to be up there, Craig. I'll tell you a quick story, Craig. Sorry to digress again, but Craig, I hadn't seen Craig a few times for quite a while. I was at Sheffield Wednesday, and I seen him before the game. All right, Prop, how are we doing? How are we doing, Craig? Someone's going to break really big, and I can't tell you. You have to come down to Liverpool and come over Merseyside and see me. I said, how are you? You're talking to me? What's going to break big? What is it? I can't say. Anyway, they'd won the championship. Hillsborough last game of the season. They stuffed 5 past us. They beat us 5, going on 15. To be fair, they were brilliant. And the story broke in the close season. He'd retired, 28 years of age, just won the championship. He was going on to Australia to look after his sister, who had a tragic accident and needed some caring, So took me out after Craig for that,
Yeah, I think he stayed on Liverpool's books for a few years afterwards, because they always hoped he would just come back. He would go over there and then come back after a few months, and
that's right. Yeah.
Instead, he decided to invent a Predator boot.
Oh.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. What a tale that is. Yeah, the Predator boot, which was a massive seller, wasn't it? I think he made him a millionaire, Dave.
I think I've read that he made his fortune and lost it again, but I don't know how true that is. But you might know, Proc. He obviously knows you better than me, and keeps you. Doesn't tell you all his secrets clearly, though. I
haven't spoken to Craig for probably since Sheffield's whatever it was, 88, 89. So 22, 23 years. Not 30 years.
We'll have to try and track him down, see where he is, and get him on here. That would be good to do. And when you came back, Proc, obviously it was a very different team then, and you did have your struggles.
Yeah, so the second team for me, we had Pally, Mogger, Slav, Ripper, Coops, lots and lots of top players. Pally would be one, I think. You know, he just had a bit of everything. Pally. I'm not sure. I don't think he got the England caps. Maybe he should have got. I don't know who he was competing with that year. I do forget, but he was a special player. Pally, as I say, Bogger was different but very, very effective. A leader. Great having the team. Put his head anywhere for the club. Red and white through and through. Mugger, you know, in his blood. Slav was prolific goal scorer. Not just for one season, over numerous seasons, you know what I mean? Ripper was a marauding winger who obviously went to Blackburn under Kenny Dalglish, won the Premier League, or was it the First Division? I don't know what it was called then.
Premier League, yeah.
Premier League, yeah. Him and Wilcox, when it let Wilcox on the left and Ripper on the right, and they used to provide the ammunition for Shearer and Sutton. SAS, yeah. You know what I mean?
Not a bad forward line.
Not a bad forward line.
Some good players there. What about yourself, Cross? Who would you pick out if I ever said, right, just 3 from your time at the Boro?
Well, I think I managed to... I was lucky enough to play with Des Walker, probably the best centre-half I've ever played with. But when you look at Pally and Hugo as a partnership, I thought they stood out for me. I always thought Gareth Southgate was one of the most underrated players. I know he got England caps and all that, but he never really got talked about that he was quick, he was good in the air, he was calm, he could play with both feet. He was an organiser, which is what you want from a centre half. Hugo was there to go and edit and kick it, you know, that type of partnership. So I'd definitely put them 2 in there. You know, I played with Coops at Forest, and I thought, what a signing he was at the time. I like to name players that are not the most popular ones. So I could easily say Janino, Alan Boksic, Christian Karambo, you know, the world stars. But when you look at the likes of Stevie Vickers and Robbie Mustoe, the job that he actually did, Robbie Mustoe, nobody saw what he actually did for the team, apart from his teammates that were in the team with him. And your George Boatangs and your Inces. So I'm going to go with, probably, just going on what I said, I'm going to go with Gareth Southgate, Hugo Ekiog and Robbie Mustoe.
Brilliant. I mean, he's massively popular still among the Boro fans, Robbie, and hasn't got a bad career out in America by the looks of things for himself. But, and I never had him down as there for that role when he was at the Boro. Didn't have to do boring interviews when he was at the Boro. How he's found this new career, I don't know.
It was one of these guys, wasn't he, that like you'd say maybe he's a little bit boring, but an unbelievable sense of humour. When he actually said something, it was worth listening to and worth having a laugh about. A great guy. I loved it. Listen, when I was at the club, I loved everything about it. I loved where I lived. I lived in a little village called Rainton, which was half an hour away. I loved it. I loved going up into Middlesbrough. I loved going out in Middlesbrough with Stampy and Jason Gavin, the ones that know it all up there, where to go. I loved all that.
That would have been a good night out, that, Cross, with Stampy and Jason Gavin then.
I remember Stampy once taking me to his dad's pub, right? And I thought some places at Barnsley were quite rough, but when I went there, that took it to another level. That did. But but no, the camaraderie that we had as a squad was up there with the best that I've actually been at.
You mentioned Christian Karambo there. I mean, because he came in, his superstar signing, wasn't he? But I mean, for me, I think it's an indictment about, I guess, it was a bad season, and he didn't stand out in a bad season for me.
No,
I remember his wife much better because I mean, she was amazing. But and I remember that she ended up modelling the next season's shirt for us and things like that. But
she usually charges about £3 million that for her.
I know, but if you remember, there was a story that broke that she'd supposedly criticised Middlesbrough, and then she was Christian came in and said, she didn't say it and all this, and I says, well, do you think that she wants to, anything that she can do to put it right, she'll let her know? And I says, all right, then, does she want to model the next season's shirt? So, yeah, so we had her on the front cover of the magazine Riverside Raw, if you remember that. That was a... No, you're right. We probably we didn't pay her a penny. It was just to put things right. But I mean, Christian, do you think he was? I mean, that's fair, isn't it? That he didn't quite spark the way that we might have hoped that he would have.
Yeah, steady Eddie played in 2 or 3 positions, didn't he? Probably, I don't know, was he probably bought as a midfield player, but played full back. He was a player. He was a luxury player. He was a good player. He was a top player, But it was obviously strange for him to come over to Middlesbrough and play in the Premier League. A lot of players do take time to settle into a Premier League, But I liked him as a nice guy, as a good player. Didn't set the world alight, but just going in that squad, I wrote some down early. When you got the likes of like Windass, No Whelan were in it as well, and Joseph Job, Hamilton Rickard, Fester, Curtis Fleming, Boro legend Frank Woodrew came in, and good players. It was a good team. It was a good team, and Mark's, what I keep saying, he was top keeper, great to work with.
And all those good lads, and then and hard working players, and then we got some interesting stories when Steve McLaren and Steve Harrison were on the other week, and Bill Bezic, talking about a certain Alan Boxich and what a player he was when he fancied it, and that was only when he fancied it.
That was right, yeah. I mean, you see him on the training ground, and like, he's 6'4", he's quick, he can edit, he can use both feet. Now, you would expect to set the world alight, coming with a big reputation, and he just didn't deliver on a regular basis, did he? That was the thing with Alan. Everybody expected it week in, week out, and it didn't happen week in, week out, unfortunately. But when it did, people couldn't understand why he couldn't reproduce it week in, week out, including us as players.
Possibly just they suggested that maybe just he was there for the money, and he didn't really love the game in the way that some lads do.
It was different. It was different. He used to turn up in his trench coat, put his fag out at the dressing room doors, stub his fag out, walk in, get his kit. Everything was a little bit hard work for him, but maybe he just relied on the talent that he had, because undoubtedly his talent was scary.
So it makes you wonder what somebody like Brian Clough would have made of him. So let's talk Cloughie, because the two of you both played under Cloughie at Forest, and I know that I've heard you both before. You're both full of these. I mean, he obviously made a massive impact on both of you, because he was a one-off, wasn't he, Cloughie? Cros, he gave you your big chance, and I guess you learned everything under him, didn't you?
What I found about, and again, going back, probably didn't realise at the time, but since I've left, he didn't just teach you how to play football. Well, he wasn't a coach anyway. I don't know what it was like when you were there, Prop, but he didn't coach. Everything was five-a-side, under head high, keep the ball on the floor. Goalkeepers played out, because he liked them to be, good at playing and understand who was playing around. But he taught me more life skills than anything, about how to respect people, and a few examples, like, didn't like you coming in if you weren't clean shaven, didn't like it, didn't look like you're looking like a scruff, didn't like you with your hands in your pockets. He caught you with your hands in your pockets, and he caught you, he'd take you straight up to what we used to call the drying room, and he'd get the ladies who was sewing all the kit to sew your pockets up. Don't stand in your, with your hands in your pockets while you're talking to me. And what did it for me is when I first signed my first professional contract, he asked to see me. I went to see him. He asked me if I wanted a new contract. I said yes. And he got a blue piece of paper out the drawer, which it was back then, blue piece of paper with the years of the contract, basic wage, put it on the table at the side of it. I mean, this is cutting the story short as well. Put it on the table. And he used to call me shithouse, right? Which I think he did with a lot of people. And he said, shithouse, sign that or piss off and play for Barnsley. Now, I didn't want to go and play for Barnsley because we were in the 3rd division at the time. But when I looked at the contract, I can't sign that, gaffer. Sign it or play for Barnsley, he said. So, why can't you sign it? It's blank. I'll fill it in, he said. I'll fill it in, son. Sign it. And then he goes, you've got 5 minutes to sign it. So no agents and that then. not even a mobile phone. So what do you do? I want to ring my old man, ask him, what should I do? But I can't. Can't get to a phone. So he said, go in the corridor for 5 minutes. You've got 5 minutes to decide whether you're going to sign this contract or not. So I'm stood in the corridor and he's going, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. So I went back in and I signed the blank contract and he filled it in. So you tell me a player that would do that now. It wouldn't happen. And what I realised now back then is that was him working his psychology. I'm going to test him. If he signs it, he will do for me. We can work together, because that's what he used to call it, working together. And me signing that blank contract built that instant trust. He gave me my debut. He stuck with me when times were going bad. He gave me new contracts when he thought I would deserved it. But it all stemmed from signing that blank contract in the first place.
He didn't stitch you, Cros, with putting 10 quid on it then?
He didn't know. He looked after me, but I needed a car. I'd passed my test for about a year, and you weren't allowed to have a car unless you asked him. Because he said to me, he says, you're a big idiot and I don't trust you. Right? So he wouldn't let me have a car. So when I signed the blank contract and I went to pick it up the following day to see what he'd actually filled it in and what was on it, there were some car keys in the envelope. And he made me buy his daughter Elizabeth. He made me buy her car. But he never. I don't know whether Nigel
nice car.
Elizabeth know that. It was an XR3i, white one with a black roof, soft top. So I weren't grumbling. I was quite pleased with it, and I never ended up paying for it. So I don't know whether they know that, but I'm not paying for it now anyway. So that definitely. But yeah, so that's the old school stuff I was trying to talk about. So you have a psychologist at a football club now. You have a motivational coach i.e. Bill Bezic. I like him. Some people buy into him, some people don't. He did it all by himself. He did all the psychological stuff with things like that by himself, and that's how we got good teams with not big superstars as players, but good teams. And you had jobs to do. Goalkeeper, what's your job? Stop the ball from going in the goal. That's your job. Fullback, stop crosses. Play forward when you can. Centre halves, head it and kick it as far away from my goal as possible. Centre midfield players, take less than 3 touches, play forward when you can. Wingers, cross the ball. If the striker's not in the box, it's not your problem. Beat your fullback, cross it. Strikers, get hold of the ball. Pretend it's yours. Keep hold of it. And then pass it to someone that can play when you've actually got hold of it. Pass it to someone that can play. Get in the box. Score me a diving header and get cut while you're doing it because it looks better. Now, they were the simple rules. 4-4-2, never changed. Never changed. Wingers, get your heels on your lines. It was so simple, Prop, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Oh, no, I know you were full of stories. Give us a couple of your better cookie stories. I seem to recall the one about he had a certain way of telling you that you're not playing on Saturday.
Well, only Clough could do this, So we're sort of languishing in third position in the old First Division, we should be top under Clough. And I'll never forget that weekend. So we trained on the Friday morning, walked around the back of the Trent, trained on the training pitch. When we used to come back after training, there'd be a team sheet. Remember in them days, there'd only be 12 names on the team sheet. So there'd be the 11 players and a sub. So there'd been lots of speculation in the press that week. I think Jimmy Greaves was the local punditry guy in the Midlands, and he was giving Cloughy belters for being in third position as such. So we all rushed back to the training ground, went back there. It was usually pinned outside the dressing room. So when the lads get there, there's about 18 names, like a squad. We're all thinking, 18 names, what's going on here, So anyway, reports, 12 o'clock, I can't remember the name of the posh hotel because we're in Nottingham. What would it be? Oh, you're too young. There was a posh hotel in Nottingham where we used to go for our pre-match. So anyway, we went in this pre-match room, all report for 12 o'clock, and there's a big, massive communal table for 18 players. So we're all sitting down, we're all speculating who's playing, who's not playing. Next thing is, a waitress comes in with a big tureen of chips on her shoulder. And we all looked, and even in them days, you didn't have chips pre-match, you know. And Clough proceeded to go around the table and he went, "You can have chips. You can have chips." And that's how we picked the team. Obviously, you got chips.
That was his way of telling you you're not playing.
I got a plate of chips, by the way.
You got a plate of chips?
Got a plate of chips, yeah.
Oh, there you.
There's so many.
Sorry. He dropped me for the first time. So I'd gone to the Forest for £500,000, which is a fortune then. And I got dropped after, I don't know, 3 months. And I went in on the Monday morning, and all the senior players, there was some big hitters, you know, Shelton, Francis, Robertson, some really top players. And I'm 20 years of age, you know. And they're all saying, "Hey, what's he dropped you for? You were no Western so-and-so. Get in and see him, have it out with him." And they're all winding me up, unbeknown to me. So I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Well, what's he dropped me for? I'm going to have it out with him. Anyway, I went home, said, "I'm going to set the miss. I'm going to see Clough tomorrow. I'm going to have it out with him. Why he dropped me on Saturday." He never told me why. Anyway, I seen him Tuesday morning. He was like thunder. I seen him in the corridor. I thought, not today, Proc. Don't go and see him today. So I bottled it, but I'll see him tomorrow. Came to Wednesday. Anyway, cut long story short, I got to Thursday. I didn't have the nerve to go and see him. Anyway, I plucked up. I've got a man up and front him up here. So I went in on the Thursday morning before training. I knocked on the door, and he went, "What do you want?" When Gaffer, I just wondered why you dropped me to the second team. He went, "Because you're too good for the effing third team, son. Now get out."
He made me play for his son's Sunday league team. I made my debut against Liverpool. Then I played on the Saturday at Newcastle away. Then Coventry at home in the FA Cup. And he seen I was probably getting a little bit too big for my boots. Kind of relaxed, thinking you're in the team now, and that as a young lad. And he said to me, "What are you doing tomorrow morning, son?" I said, "I'm going home." He says, "Where's home?" I said, "I live in Barnsley." He said, "My house tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, bring your boots. And it would help if you bring your gloves as well," he said. So I thought, what am I going to his house for Sunday morning? So anyway, I had to get to his house. Cut a long story short. His son, Simon, was a manager of a Division 5 Sunday League team in the Derbyshire Sunday League. And they didn't have a goalkeeper. So I'd played against Coventry in the FA Cup front of 30,000 on the Saturday, and I was playing for a team called AC Hunters Sunday morning in Division 5 of the Derbyshire Sunday League as a ringer. And they got fined. AC Hunters got fined 50 quid for playing a ringer, and Clough took the 50 quid out of my wages at Forest to pay the fine. Hey, what about that? Imagine that happening today.
Did you let any goals in, Nog?
4-1 we won the game, yeah.
Oh, you won?
So, let one in, yeah.
I mean,
unbelievable.
He was just, if somebody, for those that weren't lucky enough to like live through that era, you know, they don't, you wonder, like, think, well, Brian Clough, oh yeah, look, he won a couple of league titles and a few other titles and all that. So, and then the Champions League, as it was, the European Cup then. If someone asked you, describe what Clough was like, how would you describe, well, tell us why was Clough so unusual? Proc, you go first.
Clough for me, I mean, I went to Forest at a really, unbeknown to me at the time, but on reflection now, a real transitional period. So they'd won back-to-back European Cups, and I think they had a year out through the European ban, after it was at Heysel. And there was a massive turnover of players, and I went with an influx of players going in with Justin Fashanu, and 2 or 3 other big signings, and the old guard were coming out. I think Schultz went to Manchester City. John Robertson eventually left. There was lots of
Eddie
people
Burns would have gone and all that.
Teddy Burns. he was under me, working under him as a 20-year-old, he was very, very, very intimidating and very, very demanding. And I think because we were from the same town, we were both from Middlesbrough, I felt as if he was extra harsh on me. But I didn't need that at 20 years of age. I needed someone to reassure me and sort of, but he wasn't that type of manager. He had to, like, you know, he demanded and he had to deliver. So he was very, very demanding. But one thing I did get from is when you got a little bit of sugar off him and he told you you'd done particularly well, which was very rare for me at Forest, you felt $1 million. He made you feel you wanted to please him. You know what I mean? Because he was a special manager. You wanted to please him and do what he wanted you to do. And when he praised you, I've never felt the feeling like it off coming from Brian Clough. You know what I mean? But obviously, when you got the wrong side of him and you hadn't performed, you maybe let your performance level drop. He let you know in no uncertain terms, and he was tough. You know, really tough. But a brilliant manager before his time, like Crossley says, taught you all the basics. In my day, we went coach, we were trained. So we were told where to go and what to do, not why and when. Just do it this way and go around here. Whereas obviously the modern coach now will educate you and reason with you and give you a bit of feedback, and you discuss things. It was different in the 80s. But he was very, very basic, like Crossley says, keep on the floor, tackle, head it, do the basics well. And that was the nucleus of him as a manager, you know, really, really simple, but very, very effective. And then getting a group of players with his psychology gelled together to become a team, you've got a formidable force, you know.
Well, so, yeah, I guess you would see a lot of that in Cloughie as well.
Yeah, I don't totally what Proc says. I when I look back now, I speak to players, and I know loads of players that have had fallouts with him, but I don't hear one ex-player. I can't name one that doesn't speak highly of him and how they feel proud to have actually played under him, because he was a one-off. He was unpredictable. You never knew what was going to happen from one day to the next, whether he was even going to be there or not. Sometimes you'd get beat on a Saturday and he'd say, see you Thursday. Sometimes you'd play on a Saturday and win, and he'd go, see you tomorrow. And it was, I think, looking back, and the big thing for me is that, and I think it's massively important. I went to Manchester United for a month, and Alex Ferguson was manager, and I saw the same things. And I've not seen it a great deal at all the other clubs I've been at. Now, the kit man, the dressing room ladies, the coach driver Albert, they were the most important people at the club. And it wasn't the star player that was the most important person at the club. It was all about the connection from the probably lowest down jobs right up to the top man in the team, right up to the manager, where togetherness, everybody knew each other, everybody told each other well done. It was a community, a bond, it was a family. And I saw the same things at Manchester United when I went there under Alex Ferguson, how we had their brilliant football team that won the FA Cup that year that I was there on loan. I went to the Cliff first day's training. It's just this thing that hits you about a togetherness of the whole club. It wasn't just about the players. It was about everything, the supporters and the people that worked at the football club. And it was him that demanded that. So he demanded that they would treat exactly the same as everybody else. And he taught me a lot of things in general life, how to respect people. I can't speak highly enough of him, you know. And I had my ups and downs. I had the bad times. I had dropped out of the team. I got a kick up the backside when I stepped out of line. But for me, he was the one. He's the best manager I've ever worked for, without a shadow of a doubt.
Do you think he'd be a success now?
He was always one step ahead. So I don't know. I think it'd be difficult. He wouldn't deal with agents. He wouldn't speak to an agent. Whether he would now, because agents are a massive part of the game. He wouldn't have a conversation with one. if you don't want to play with me, go and play for somebody else. He'd say, if you want to play for a good team, come and play for me. No,
I think when I was at Forest, one thing that was very apparent was that he ran the club from top to bottom.
Yeah.
He wasn't answering to nobody. No chairman, no directors. They all answered to Brian Clough. He ran the club exactly how he wanted the club running. And he was the man in charge. So he had total power. Well, you would do on the back of his achievements, of course, but he absolutely ran the club from top to bottom without a shadow of a doubt. And obviously that doesn't happen these days, you know.
A definite legend, no doubt about it. I think I get the impression that you both feel that you were fortunate to work with him and play for him. So that says a lot as well, doesn't it? Whatever it turned out. Now, Cros, I did promise you that I know we wanted to talk about walking and talking charity hikes. That's a charity that you work with, supporting NHS.
Look, I went through a bit of a tough time with it when I lost my job and my dad got cancer, and I struggled a little bit, not being in that daily routine, being in football. Although I felt as though I was ready for a break, because travelling, time on the road, and I'd been lucky enough never to lose my job from being 17 years old up until 50 years old. And I just found it really tough. And a group of us got together. Dean Windass, who obviously was a top player for Middlesbrough as well. We're good pals. Chris Kirkland has quite openly spoke about it. John Parkin, Nigel Jemson. We've come together as a group, and it's through walking and social media. So there are some good things about social media as well, because there's a lot of bad things said about it, but there's some good things. And we were going out on these walks and doing these talks, and we found a lot of people were opening up and talking about their issues, and how walking was helping them. And we actually kind of just fell on it. And then COVID-19 happened. So this was planned long before this happened. This happened, and it's all tied in. So we've decided to set our own charity up, and it's just gone to another level. But we're enjoying it. And I think we're climbing Kilimanjaro next year, July the 13th. Group of 25 of us. That's all planned and in place.
And these are all ex-players?
No, we've got some comedians from the after dinner circuit going as well. We've got a couple of agents from the after dinner circuit going. So Leon McKenzie as well is involved. Steve Howie is involved. We're all going. We're all doing it, and all the funds that we're raising is going to support mental health charities and the NHS, the mental health side of the NHS as well. So basically, that's what it's all about. And
if people do want to sponsor you, Cros, is there a place they can go? Is there?
Yeah, they can go to www.walkingsbrilliant.com, and that's our website. So yeah, we're looking for sponsorships and help. We've got loads of events along the way to raise money. Your golf days and stuff like that, football matches. So we need a right winger actually.
Rock, you're available, right wing?
Right wing.
So, yeah, do you know what? It's like the sense of achievement by helping people that are suffering is the buzz that we're getting. Now, we've had some negativity saying you're doing it for attention and all that. I can guarantee you that it's not that, and we are enjoying doing what we're doing. And the response has made us want to do it even more. So, yeah, well, we're hopefully going to raise a lot of money, and a lot of people are going to benefit from it.
Sounds fantastic. Well done,
yeah.
Cros. And Proctor, you've got your football academy, the Mark Proctor Football Academy, and I guess again, COVID's knocked that on the head for a few months. What's your latest thinking about when you might get that going again?
Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure. I mean, I think the guidelines for grassroots, the recent guidelines of you can coach up to numbers of 5, which I haven't done as of yet, which I might break into next month. I just think I'm a little bit sort of concerned about the second wave, and I'm a bit on the back foot really with this virus still. I've got grandchildren. My mother's quite vulnerable with COPD, so I don't want to wait a bit longer. But I'm hoping to maybe get the balls rolling some capacity in July with a view maybe to back open the academy up, probably with the schools in September. I don't know. we had a really successful academy. Been going about 18 months, and it was going great. And then COVID-19 kicked in, and it's all gone pear-shaped a bit. But yeah, you can follow me on Mark Proctor Football Academy on Facebook if you want to get involved for some free taster sessions.
And a few old images I've seen you putting on, Proc, from your career. Some good ones.
The kids haven't got a clue who they are. It's the grandparents who recognise the players who I've been playing against in my era. That's how old I am these days. But no, it's good. I cater for all levels. You know, young starters, steady weight players, and some elite players that we obviously try and promote to professional clubs, especially Middlesbrough. So yeah, we're open for business soon, hopefully.
And really, and I'll say now that I think professional football clubs are missing out on both of you being in the professional game. So I hope there's going to be somebody who come to the senses and say Mark Crossley and Mark Proctor. That they're the people that we need in this club, because that'd be a wise move, I reckon. Sadly, we've run out of time for Teeslice's Boro Backtrack this week, in association, as always, with Domino's Teesside, branches right across the region, the best place for pizza. So our thanks for the time and for sharing brilliant memories of the time of the Boro, and of course Brian Clough, to Mark Proctor and to Mark Crossley. Really appreciate your time joining us, lads. Take care of yourselves. And join us next week, Teeslice's Boro Backtrack, when we'll be joined by two stars of the Bruce Rioch promotion era. That's certain Colin Cooper and Gary Hamilton. That's next week on Boro Backtrack. In the meantime, thanks, Proc. Thanks, Cros, for joining us.
Cheers. Cheers, Dave.
Cheers, guys.